You would think an episode on batteries would be short. Well, we're going to talk about pro-level batteries, so grab a drink and relax. When you're shooting in a studio or home space like this one, it makes a lot of sense to use electricity instead of batteries. In other words, you plug your equipment into the wall outlets. So, if I have equipment that is battery only, I'm not happy. And as you know, when the basic filmmaker isn't happy, then
no one gives a shit.
Let's take stock of what has to happen in battery land. Battery land! I've got my camera, which takes 2 batteries, my 3 lights, each which take 2 batteries, my audio recorder, which takes a battery, my monitor, which takes 2 batteries, my backlit LED light, which takes 2 batteries, my remote for the camera, which takes a battery, and if I use a microphone that isn't one of the high-end ones that I use, I would have another battery for that. If I happen to be using a wireless lapel mic, that's 2 more batteries for the transmitter and the receiver. So for lights, camera, and sound, I have a total of 15 batteries and 3 or 4 different battery chargers. Of course, you have to charge them all before you shoot to make sure they don't die on you. And just in case, it's a good idea to have backup batteries ready in case they go bad, which they do, so as not to lose a whole day shooting. That's 30 batteries plus chargers just to shoot an episode or interview or whatever. That is why all my gear uses AC adapters and is plugged into wall outlets, so I don't have to worry about it. This is also why I get bitchy if the equipment I use doesn't include an AC adapter and battery only. I've been there, and it sucks to find out your camera or your audio recorder ran out of juice and lost everything you did, or you have to stop everything and recharge or replace the batteries. Instead, I come in, turn everything on, and don't have to worry about it. Sound on, camera rolling, lights. Done. So my rule of thumb is batteries. Until you go mobile. When I go mobile, I haven't even started with batteries because I'll bring my motorized slider along and its batteries, light meters, extra camera or 2, backup lights, and so on. You can't be sure where you're headed has electricity, and this pile of batteries and backups mean you damn well better have enough batteries that are charged to last you the shoot or you're screwed. So my new rule of thumb is batteries, unless you have to travel somewhere else, in which case, batteries are now your loving friends. In filmmaking world, this is a battery and they can be ridiculously expensive. Fortunately, these batteries have come down in price and up in the number of hours they power things, which makes them more affordable to the typical film and video maker, and why I haven't talked about these on this channel until now. They're also something new and beginning filmmakers not only don't know about, but they can be a bit confusing as you start talking about AB mounts, V mounts, gold mounts, and they look like a brick you don't want to carry around. And they are expensive. So let's demystify this subject. First, you can certainly go with the most popular brand of batteries, which are the Sony NPF style batteries. You can get adapters and all sorts of gizmos to adapt these to just about anything, and the cost varies where you can pay for really cheap and not so good ones all the way to Sony Originals, which are about $130 a piece. I've included a link to a great video below by Caleb Pike that goes over these battery options for Sony NPF style batteries, where he does a great job showing what they are, what the values are, and what to look out for. It may seem these are cheaper batteries, are a better idea, but when you start adding up all the batteries, you're into many hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just in batteries, especially since these fail, wear out, and die. When you move up to these pro batteries, you start seeing that they are more expensive, but in the long run, you're paying much less, and more importantly, you open up a world of options, less chance of power failure, and ability to use only a few batteries to power everything you have. On a professional shoot, there's a ton of gear being used and a ton of people who are responsible for all the gear and powering it, and I promise you, they don't show up with 100 little $39 batteries and hope things work out well. Most of you watching are probably one-man band filmmakers and under a budget, or doing this as a hobby, so if you didn't know any of this information, don't be surprised. The type of gear you use is made for those that are more budget conscious, and the gear you're buying, for example LED lights, isn't going to include professional power options that exceed the price of the lights themselves. They will almost always provide an introductory battery solution, or not at all, to get you going, but these are not a solution for all-day shooting scenarios. You may not have known this, and when you find out, your solution is to go buy some extra batteries, usually cheap ones, so you can swap them out when you run out of power. As I said, when you start dealing with all the different types of equipment you may be using, this can be a lot of different batteries and a lot of cost. This will also explain why most filmmakers don't understand something like the Blackmagic Ursa and how obnoxious it is that they don't include a battery for $5,000 on a camera. That's because most filmmakers buying these cameras will already have pro-level batteries that will connect to these types of cameras, and in the pro world, it would kind of piss them off that they are paying another $1,000 for power options they already have. Unlike hobbyist or prosumer gear, pro gear costs a lot of money, and pro gear is all about options, not what's included with what you are buying. When you buy a pro camera, you get the camera, and a pro usually has all the pro batteries and mounts and cards and monitors and lenses and everything else to build their rig up. To keep costs down and to help you out, non-pro gear manufacturers include all sorts of goodies and kits to entice you to buy their stuff, and the accessories are usually cheap. Many a budding filmmaker has purchased a camera with the included $100 kit lens and struggled with footage that looks soft or out of focus, and have beat their heads up against a wall trying to figure out how to get sharp and focused shots. Later, some friend lets them use a $1,000 prosumer lens on their camera, and a new world open up. They just lust over the good lens, maybe buying something better than the kit lens, but not the $1,000 lens as they don't have the money. Eventually, they find themselves months or years down the road, having spent many times the cost of the lens they should have bought in the first place. The same goes for battery and power options. So let's take a look at two types of pro batteries usually referred to by their mounting options. One is V-mount batteries and the other is gold mount batteries, and you'll sometimes hear the term AB batteries, which refers to one manufacturer of these, Anton Bauer. There's all sorts of discussions on which mount is the best, most popular, and so on, but it doesn't matter as there's all sorts of adapter plates no matter what you use. A V-mount battery attaches to a plate like this and has a V on it, which locks it in place. A gold mount battery has these gold-looking pins, which really locks it in place better. Now, a word about power capacity. Although most look at milliamps or amp hours, experienced people in productions refer to the power in watt hours, not milliamps. There are all sorts of calculations to convert milliamps or amp hours to watt hours that I'm not going to blow your brains out with here, as you'll see when I give you the next example without the math. If we take the top capacity and more costly Sony NPF 970 battery with a 6600 milliamp rating, that's about 6.6 amp hours, and if we multiply that by the volt usage of a camera with 7.2 volts, we get about 47 watt hours, and if the camera has a 10 watt capacity for power consumption, you end up with about 4.7 hours of battery time. See what I mean? That 4.7 hours sounds great, but when you take into account the camera being on, battery drainage factors, an LCD screen, weather, temperature, hot shoe accessory, powering a microphone through the camera, etc., this dramatically reduces the actual time of this battery to maybe 2 hours depending on how it's used. Again, multiply the number of batteries for your monitors, lights, cameras, etc., and you've got a lot of batteries, a lot of cost, a lot of chargers, and a lot of possible headaches. Pro-level power options can give you 10 times that, like 10, 16, and 20 hours. So how can you use the power options that pros use and get a full day of shooting without all the headaches? IndiPro Tools, maker and distributor of pro batteries and adapters for just about everything, was kind enough to send me some samples so I could introduce you to these pro-level power options and how you can adapt them to the type of gear you may already have. For this demonstration, I'll show you how to hook up one of my DSLRs, most popular amongst newer filmmakers, and my monitor. This camera is a Canon 5D Mark III and the monitor is the Aperture VS5. I've already reviewed the VS5 monitor in a previous episode and in fact posted a free course over at Basic Filmmaker University about monitors. In this example, we're going to take this pro level battery and use it to power both the camera and the monitor with one battery and get maximum shooting time without worrying about running out of power. In other words, we can just shoot and not worry about the 2 batteries in the camera and the 2 batteries on the monitor, which will not last for a full shoot. And in my experience, you're dicking around after about 2 hours. So what we end up with is we got the IndiPro catalog, we got the battery, we got the gold plate battery mount to Canon LP6, that's my 5D Mark III. We got the DTAP Pro battery, this is the charger for the battery. We got a female tapped USB 5 and female power tap, we'll discuss that in a minute. And then we have this P-tap to Sony L battery, dummy battery. So let's just take a look at one of these things at a time. First, let's take a look at this guy here. Look at this. Here's the battery I was talking about. IndiPro PDA5 Premium Samsung Cell. It's rechargeable. It's 14.6 volt, 16.6 something amps, 95 watt hours. And this is a chunky thing. Now you'll notice here, here's the connectors and here's the 3 prongs. Over here, what we have is right here. If you look here, this is a, right there, the D-tap out for this thing. And that's pretty much it. You got some lights, some various things like that, and that's the power out. And that's pretty much it. Now, to use this thing, we're going to need to be able to charge it, obviously. So, take a look at this guy. So now we have our charger. Our charger is obviously just a charger, and there's your D-tap cable right here. The way you do this is you pull this thing open, you notice like this, you plug it in here, and then you have a way to charge this thing. It's even showing right now that the green light is even showing that this thing is charged and it's got power in it. So we're okay with that. So let's pull that off, and we'll go over this D-tap cable in a moment. So let's set that side of guy aside. Now this one we have here. We have right here what we have. This is called a gold mount battery. And the way it mounts, you'll notice the 2 pins here and these, is you'll see these suckers like this. Now these pins in here are going to slide into here like this. So it's going to go like this and slide into these batteries, or like this. So once this is mounted, you just slide the battery in there. Now obviously you see there's a hole here, so you can mount this to say on a cage or whatever. I'll show you that in a minute. And that goes in there. So what happens is these 3 pins match up with there, right there, and it goes in. And it simply plugs in by doing that. And that's locked into place. That's not going anywhere. Now, on the other end here, take this off. Right? This may look familiar to some of you. Let me grab a battery here. If I take my let's set that aside. I'm sitting there and I take my Canon battery. I take 2 of these in my camera. This is my Canon battery, and I stick it into my battery pack. That's basically what that is. See that? Right? So this is what they call like this one, a dummy battery. They call this a dummy battery. because I plug it into my camera and then I'm powering it with this instead of something else. Okay? This guy is a power tap cable. See this 5-volt and female power cap cable. So what happens with this guy is you plug it into the D-tap area and you have a USB powered plug into here, right? And then there's your D-tap thing. So let's, right, goes to the camera. Now I'm sitting here with this guy, right? Now what do I do with that? I'm going to stick this guy up in the D-tap, right? It's a D USB. So I have that and I have another D-tap cable and I'm going to stick this guy on here. Now I have power going out to the battery and I have another power source here again with a USB power and with a D-tap power. So then I'm going to go to my lights. Now this is more like a Sony battery, right? These are the Sony batteries that go into the lights, lithium-ion Sony battery. And what this does is, again, this is a dummy battery. So when we take this guy apart and we plug into our D-tap up here, like so, like so, wrong way. Now effectively, what we've got here is that's the charger. We'll remove all this other stuff for a second. If you look here, there's another D-tap right here. So this is how you undo this. You unlock this guy and that falls out. You see how that works? That goes in, this locks it down like this. Just put it in here. Now watch this. See that lock? This is going nowhere unless I actually actuate this thing and I pull this thing out. So we got the battery. Now, so I got this plate. I have a D-tap up here. There's one. Okay? There's my lights. I have another D-tap right here. That's 2. And I also have this goes to my battery. That's 3. I have this goes to my Sony light. That's 4. That plugs into one of these. And then I have over here another US cable. That's 5 power sources off of this little thing instead of 5 batteries. Let's take a look at the camera rig. So we're going to take a look at this rig here. Now, normally, obviously, you would not set your rig up like this. You'd be setting up your rig so you could be behind it. You'd see your monitor here, you'd see your audio levels, etc. But I set this up so you can indeed see what's happening here. Let me pull this thing off. Okay, so I mounted the plate here for the gold mount battery. Here's the gold mount. I mounted the plate here. I have my Zoom H6 sitting right here. I have my aperture monitor sitting right here. This would take 2 batteries normally, the monitor, right there. The Zoom would normally take, I believe it's 4 AA batteries, or what I usually do, as I said before, I connect my stuff to an AC adapter. Same with this. I have my Canon 5D Mark III. And what happens is I have this battery grip here, and I usually use an adapter indoors. If I don't use that, then I have to use 2 batteries there. So I have this plugged into the wall. I have this plugged into the wall, and I have this plugged into the wall with this connector that's not even connected. So what happens is when I don't have them plugged and I want to go out rigging, I have my wireless lapel mic, which takes a battery, and the transmitter, which takes a battery. I have 2 batteries, Sony batteries here, that I need to power this monitor with. I have 4 AA batteries on the Zoom that I have to use to power that with while I'm going. I need 2 Canon batteries in here, that's why I use a battery grip, to power the camera. So I got 2 here, that's 4 batteries just right there for the monitor and this, and another 6 batteries for this. And I have to have backups for all this because these aren't going to last more than a couple hours. These aren't going to last more than a couple hours. These aren't going to last. So the idea here is I've rigged this thing up to show you, again, you wouldn't put your rig together like this, to show you what's going on. I go to turn the zoom on, nothing's happening. It's not powered. I go to turn the monitor on, nothing's happened. It's not powered. I have no batteries in it. And back here, as you'll see, I go to turn the camera on. I have no power. Nothing's happening. These are all dead because I took out all the batteries. So what I want to show you is I take this gold mount battery, this whopping battery, and I just mount it on here into these. And now I mount it. Now I got power. Now what I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to power all of these units and replace all those batteries plus their backups and everything else with this one unit. I'll say this one more time. You would not construct your rig this way. You would construct your rig so you had your monitor this way so you could watch it. The Zoom H6 would be this way so you could look at your audio levels. You'd probably take this thing and either mount it down here below, or you could mount it on the side of this or something. This is not the typical rig you would use, so you could just pick it up and shoot with it or put it on a tripod. I'm just doing this to show you that I am indeed powering everything here with one battery. Now the first thing is, when I power my Canon at home, let's remove this cable from the HDMI. When I power my 5D at home, I have a similar thing. It's a dummy battery, but it goes to an AC power outlet. So let's pull this out. Let's stick the dummy battery just like that in there. Stick it in the camera. Cool. Now I don't need to turn that on. I just turn the camera on. It knows there's something connected. And as you can see here, I just turn on the camera and now I have power. Next, let's power the monitor up here, which takes another 2 batteries and backups. So we'll use this little adapter over here. We'll stick this guy on here, and I'll show you why in a moment, why that's important to do that. Oops, putting it in backwards. It helps to put it in the right way. You actually can't put this thing in backwards. Okay, that's locked in place. What I have is I have a D-tap and I have a USB. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this D-tap cable on this guy. So we're connected there. And I'm going to run this dummy battery over here into this monitor. That's locked in place. That's all I need. I don't need anything else on this thing. It looks like this thing's listing and falling over, but whatever. So now I have that connected and the camera connected. Let's power on the monitor and see what we got. Got fingerprints all over the monitor. How about that? And sure enough, I'm powering the monitor off of this battery. So let's come over here, turn this back off. Let's connect up the HDMI cable so we indeed know. Turn on the monitor. There's the monitor power. It's coming on. Now we're going to power on the camera. You can hear it click, so I know it's got power right away. And there we go. What I'm doing is shooting into there. There's obviously another camera over there shooting this way, but I'm shooting that, so I have power there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take another cable that I have. Normally, this is the cable. When I got the Zoom, I had to buy an additional cable, and this additional cable has a USB end on it. That's how you buy the cable, and it goes to an AC adapter by Zoom, and you plug it into the wall outlet. I'm just going to take this USB adapter. We'll just throw this over here. I mean, again, you wouldn't hang this stuff in front of your camera and in front of your lens. Now I've powered that on. And look at there. There's the Zoom. Now I have the Zoom powered off of one battery. I have the monitor powered off one battery. I have the camera powered off one battery. And I'll be able to shoot like this for at least all day with this single battery and not have to worry about anything happening to this thing or the batteries failing or whatever. And again, I'll say this for, what is it, the third or fourth time. Let's put this on so I can see that something's happening here. Hello, left and right. Again, I just want to say this one more time. You would not set up a rig like this. This is all jury-rigged together just so I can show you this battery is indeed powering the Zoom, powering this, and powering that. So we have the 5D being powered, we have the Zoom being powered, and we have the VS5 from Aperture monitor all being powered off of this one single battery. I got no worries. I'm done. I might carry some backups, and in fact what I would do is I would carry a backup of one of these. I'm good for a whole shooting day, and I don't have to carry 2 plus 2, probably depending 2, 4, 6, 8 hours. It'd probably be 2, 4, 6, so 8 hours, 2 hours, 4. I'd probably carry 4, 6 batteries. Probably 8 batteries for this. I'd probably carry 4 times 2, another 8 batteries for this. I'd carry probably 2, 4, yeah, I'd carry 8 times 3. I'd be carrying 24 batteries for these and hoping they didn't back up. This is all I got. And there you go. That's how you take the IndiPro gold battery, and it could be a V mount, it doesn't matter. How you take one single battery, pro level battery that the pros use, and power your equipment, kind of like the things you would have at home. You should definitely check it out. This is the way to go. And if these fail, it's not a problem. I mean, these have like stupid, ridiculous warranties, and these guys always fix things when things go wrong. So there you go. One battery powering all these units all day long. No more battery worries. Here's the takeaways from all this. 1, if you're gonna use battery power in your gear, purchase pro-level batteries, as in the long run, you'll save time, money, and headaches. 2, your primary battery can be a pro-level battery with the highest capacity to provide maximum runtime and performance with the smaller wattage batteries as spare backups, which you probably won't need. 3, when you do advance to higher end gear, you'll already be covered as you'll have the higher end batteries that will mount to your gear. You can obtain these batteries from the IndiPro Tools website or on Amazon and B&H. One subscriber I know got some Pro Lights and couldn't figure out what type of batteries to get, as his Pro Lights only accepted Pro level power options. I gave him the phone number to IndiPro Tools and they set him up nicely. I know, actual people who help you on the phone, unheard of. Links to batteries, options, cables, IndiPro Tools, and their phone number is in the description below. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Hi, is this YouTube? I have a problem with my...
Don't care, you're not Casey Neistat.
Hey Google, you're charging me for storage, but...
You just called YouTube. Goodbye.
Hi, Canon. Hey, Sony, I would like to buy a battery from you.
Press 4 for